Hi everyone, and welcome back to another StART program. I'm Miss Gail. I'm with the Red Bank Public Library, and StART is where we combine stories and art. Thanksgiving is right around the corner, so we've got some great crafts we're going to do with a Thanksgiving theme. And the first one we're going to do today will be a little turkey made from your hand with colorful pumpkin seeds. You don't need a lot of materials for that, and I bet you've got everything at home. Hopefully you've got some of those dyed pumpkin seeds left over from our last craft. We also have another craft we're going to do. We'll do a total of 3 crafts. The other craft we're going to do is a autumn tree. Again, we're going to use our pumpkin seeds. We're going to trace an outline of our hand and arm. And then we're going to put that on a piece of paper, and it makes a very colorful autumn display. Perfect for that Thanksgiving table. Now usually with StART, we like to combine some stories that have the theme with our crafts. And there was so many great books that have the Thanksgiving theme. This one is The Thanksgiving Day from the Black Lagoon. I'm sure all of you know that Black Lagoon series, and they're great, fun stories to read. Here's Albert's Thanksgiving. Now this one is a charming little story about someone who gets a bit overworked on Thanksgiving Day, which can happen. We always try to do so much. But on the back is a recipe, and the recipe is for Albert's pumpkin pizza pie. Someone's gonna have to try to make that and let me know what they think of that. But pizza pie on Thanksgiving. And then another great book I wanted to share with you, along with a couple of others that are right over my shoulder here. This one is Twas the Night Before Thanksgiving. And that's taking that classic Christmas poem and making a Thanksgiving theme out of it. And it's about some mischievous little turkeys and a group of kids that go on a field trip. It's very charming, and you probably all know that author. That's Dave Pilkey. And this is his 3rd book that he wrote. So this was one of his older books from, I think, the 1990s. And but everyone loves his stories, and you're gonna love this too. And this, because it blends a little bit of the December holiday with Thanksgiving holiday, that kind of transitions into my 3rd craft, which you'll see over my shoulder. And it's a bit of a countdown calendar with bottle caps used for the days, to mark off the days. And what's interesting, behind each one of those bottle caps is a little surprise. So I did one for every single day of the month, but someone else may choose to just do a couple weeks out of the month of December. You know, there's a lot of different holidays that are celebrated. There's Boxing Day, there's Kwanzaa. So if you look on your calendar and decide which ones are perfect for you, pick a week or 2 or do the whole week. Anyway, let's get started on our first craft. And that is going to be with our little turkey hand. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is get some brown paper. And if you don't have brown paper, you can make your turkey any color you want. Gather your pumpkin seeds. You will need some glue. I used a couple of different colors of paper. I had black for his hat, a little golden color for his beak, and his legs. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is trace our hand. And you can do that, I'm sure. Get a pencil, and you're just going to trace it out. Now my turkey's going to be looking to the left because I'm left-handed. Yours will probably be looking to the right because you're probably right-handed. So you trace out your hand, and then you're going to grab a pair of scissors, and you're going to cut it out. And to help us save some time, I've already cut out my little hand, and here it is. See? Actually, that's a big hand, isn't it? Now, the color paper that I chose to put it on was this pretty little light pumpkin color. You might have a different color at home to help accent it, but what's nice about this paper was a little bit heavy because with those pumpkin seeds, it gets put some weight on your craft. So you could put it on orange if you're using a brown turkey. A darker brown or even a black would help accentuate your turkey. But I chose to use a little bit more of that other pumpkin color that I had, and I got started on the seeds just so you didn't have to sit here and watch me do all that. Now, the first thing you need to do is I'm going to put mine on a finished frame like that when I'm all done. But the first thing you're going to do is grab some of your glue. Now, I just used a glue stick to get my hand onto the poster board or the construction paper, but you need something a little bit stronger for those pumpkin seeds because they can get a little weighty. So I used my super tacky glue, and let me just shake that up a little bit, get it down to the right spot, and I'll grab some of my pumpkin seeds. Oops, I'm dropping things already, oh my gosh. Okay, the pumpkin seeds I'm going to use to finish it up are going to be a little orange and a little red. It's my little pinky that I have to work on. Now this turkey, I did a little different. I had yellows and oranges, reds and blues, very dark green and orange, a lighter green and red. And this one, I did red and yellow. And I have a little orange and blues and greens and yellows, and then some reds and oranges. I chose the dark brown to make the little wing. Now the interesting thing with this is that you can maybe just do each finger a different color, all yellow, all blue, whatever you like. That's a good thing about crafts is you can do whatever you want. So let's put some more of those pumpkin seeds on. And what I like to do is just put some dots, nice big fat dots of the glue. And I take a seed and I just slide it into the puddle of the glue and gently press it down. I like to keep all the little points of my pumpkin seed pointing into the center of the finger. But you know what? If you do a real random display, I think it's going to look great too. Doesn't take long to get this all done. If you want to know how to dye your pumpkin seeds, I chose to use the gel dye. And if you want a little bit more details, if you look at my video from the StART program from last month, I did a pumpkin seed craft then too, and I go into a little bit more detail about how I chose to dye the pumpkin seeds. But I do like the gel dye. It seems to make a much more vibrant color. And as you're going along, just keep adding some more glue if you need it. And before you know it, you'll have a cute, this is what I do. I drop things all the time. Thank goodness everything's plastic. Excuse me. Let me grab that, get that back up here. I'm going to put a couple more of those orange seeds at the bottom of that feather just to fill it out. And I'm going to turn them facing down towards the wing though. That way it looks a little bit more finished. See that? Okay, so what do we need next? We need a hat for our little turkey. Now, I used black paper and for the hat to make it more like a pilgrim hat. And it's basically a T, a big fat T. Okay, so cut one of those out and you're gonna perch it on his head. Now, you could have a jaunty placement of your hat, or you could do something on the very tippy top. Whatever you do will be fine. Your turkey's gonna love it. It's gonna love his new hat. I'm gonna start using the glue stick again, and I'm just gonna put it right on the thumb where I think I'm gonna place that hat, and there we go. So the hat is on. Now, if you remember, most of those pilgrim hats seem to have a nice buckle right in the center of the hat, right on the brim there. So I already made one, and what I did is I took, whoops, let's see if I can find it. I have so many cut out little pieces here. I made a little square, and then I took my hole puncher, punched out a little bit of, I punched out a little black circle and just popped it in the center, and that created my little buckle. Usually it's a square within a square, but I made my turkey have a little bit of a different style hat. Now, his legs on this one were just coming straight down. They're basically look like a little L, or golf club maybe. So see if you can draw something like that. But these legs I made a little bit longer, and I'm gonna make it look like he's running. So I'm gonna take my glue stick and put it right in the center, and I'll put the first leg down going behind him, and the other leg on top of that going in front. So it looks like there's a little bit of movement. And my glue stick changes the color of my construction paper sometimes, and it did again. And you can see that. It looks like he's walking. Maybe he's running. Can you guess what he's probably running away from? Someone might be hungry. Okay, now we need to make a little bill, or beak, I think I should say. And that is your diamond shape. I'm gonna show it to you just on my glue stick. It's a little bit of a diamond shape, maybe one side a little bit pointier than the other, and put it right about where you guess his beak to be. And then the last thing I need to do is I used a little paint just to make a dot of an eye. But you know, grab a marker or a crayon, and that should make a perfect little eye. And here you go. Look at that. We're already done. So I hope you made those pumpkin seeds, or saved those pumpkin seeds from last month, and you were ready to go with this month. But that's our little turkey. Now the next thing we want to do is let's make our autumn tree. And the autumn tree, I think, is just beautiful. Lots of different colors, and it looks very much like a tree. Now on this one, I really covered up my fingertip lines. Maybe on the next one, I'm not going to do that as much. I'm going to leave my fingers a little bit more exposed, because especially if you have a little hand that's doing this, I think that would be really charming to have more of the fingers exposed. So I use brown paper for the tree. Again, any color is going to work perfectly. And the first thing you do is you outline your hand. So again, I'm left-handed, so I'm going to outline my right hand, and you just go around as quickly as you can, or as slow as you feel you need to go. Then I like to use a black marker, and you're going to outline the fingers. So let's see if you can see what I'm doing. So we just outline it. And because my little box isn't big enough, I'm gonna have to do this in 2 steps. So let me pull this up, and then we go around. Now, if you're using a big piece of paper and you happen to have a very little hand, you could make like a little forest with all of your pretty pumpkin seeds. So outline your hand, and you're going to mount it on a piece of paper. And I chose to use the black. I like the backdrop. It makes a nice frame if you put it on like that. But one of the things I thought was interesting when I was playing around with this craft was that if you cut out your hand, out and then place it on white, look how that jumps out. So I really think someone should try doing that technique. Any color that you use for the tree, there's so many different types of colors of bark anyway, but any color that you put on the white is really going to make a great craft. I just didn't have a big enough piece of paper of the white to do that. So I continued on with what I had done originally, which was with the brown and then the black frame. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to finish this craft up. And if I hold it up a little bit, you can see. So all you do is you put your dots where you would like your placement. Again, this craft, I'm using that super tacky glue, and I just make random dots, nice big puddles, because those pumpkin seeds need something really to grip into, okay? And then I have so many different colored pumpkin seeds. I have yellows and reds, blues and oranges. And I even have some very dark pumpkin seeds. I was trying to make a different color, and it wound up getting very dark, like a reddy brown. But it actually looks good because that's definitely a leaf that you would see in a tree. So let's put a couple on. I'm going to put a yellow one right here at the top. One of those dark leaves on closer to the bottom there. Put another blue here maybe. And it's just wherever you like to put them. Because trees, when you look at them, they all look different. But you know what? They all look really pretty nice, no matter what their colors are on the leaves. Such a pretty thing to see at this time of year, isn't it? Now, I really had done quite a bit before we got a chance to sit down together, because I wanted you to be able to see how quick and easy these crafts are. And look at this tree, all done. It's going to take you a little bit more time to do yours, but enjoy it. It's such a pretty thing to have on display. And then our last craft, which is our little Christmas countdown calendar, or our December calendar, or holiday calendar, whatever you want to talk about, is made simply with a branch I found in the, one of my walks in the parks, and I spray painted it. Now, if you don't want to spray paint a branch, you could just use the natural color. I think that would look really great. Or if you don't even feel like using a branch, you can get a dowel from a craft store, one of those nice long wooden sticks. Even if you had an old yardstick at home, you could use that. Anything's gonna look fun and festive. You just have to decorate it a little bit. You could use wasabi tape, make a stripe on it so it looks almost like a peppermint stick. I chose to use red and white ribbons, string. It's like baker's ribbon, baker string. And then I used some silver ribbons that I found. So I made a couple different things. I made bells, and I made ornaments. Now each one of these ornaments, and I've got a couple right here to show you a little better, is wrapped in tin foil, and then I used a punch out, a hole puncher, or scissors, depending on the size, and cut out something to put in the inside to make it look finished. And you know what this is? Let me see if I can grab it. It's a bit of a stretch. I got a little too far away from me. But here it is. I had some envelopes that I didn't use, and they had this nice shiny tin foil inside. So I took a hole puncher and just punched out a bunch of little holes. And that's what I used on the inside of this. These bottle caps are probably the Snapple. And then I used a little sticky tape around it to embellish the sides, and then some paint. And all of these little numbers that you'll see on my calendar, my bottle cap calendar, they were from a little, one of those calendars that you get where you pop them open and you get a little surprise inside. You can pick those up at any of the craft stores. I saved mine from last year because it was so cute. And then I thought, perfect. So I just cut out all the numbers, and I used that and I glued them right on. So I used a little bit of hot glue for some of this stuff. This is where our big hands are going to come in. The big hands that were helping all the little guys for the other crafts. They're going to have fun doing this, but anyone can get involved. There's a lot to do with this craft. And then I used for the top, for the little ornament, I used all those little ornament hooks that you can get, again, at the craft store. And these are really great because they're for the small ornaments, and it's very pliable. You can move it around, and it's easy to use, and you can just twist it any way you want and make a little hoop, and then you just bend it to the shape of the cap, and then you hot glue it. That's why I have a Band-Aid on my finger, because I did get a little carried away with that hot glue a couple of times. That's why this is for the big hands. But I think there's so many different parts to this craft that any size hands are going to be able to help us. Now, if you saw on the back, I had tucked in a quarter there. So I wanted to have a little treasure inside each one of my bottle caps. This little one, again, is just simply wrapped with tin foil. And then it has some paint for embellishment on the top. And then on the inside is just a cute little picture of two little fox. And they're sitting in some snow by a big green tree. So it doesn't have to be money. It doesn't have to be a little picture. It could also be, now some of my bottle caps were bigger. This was from like a moisturizer cap or peanut butter cap. Can't remember. But look what I hid on the back of this one. Little candy. Okay. And again, this is just wrapped in tin foil. And then I used a little ribbon to help embellish it on the sides. And then I put a number from my little calendar that I had from last year right in the center. And two more I'll show you up close. This one, again, those mini ornaments that you get for trees to decorate. They have so many cute little things. This one had a little package wrapped nicely, so that will be my surprise for that day. And then on this day, this is a birthday for someone in my family on December 31st, New Year's Eve, right? So not only do they celebrate the New Year's, they celebrate their birthday. So for this one, I put in one of their favorite candies. So this is a fun craft to do. It is time consuming. That's why I wanted to get started on for this month, to do it in November, so you could have some fun to do, get ready for December. Now the only other thing I wanted to take a little time to show is I made some little pine cones and some little bells. The pine cones and the bells were my markers for Saturdays and Sundays. So I put a little pine cone for every Saturday. There were 4 Saturdays in this December, and a little bell for each Sunday. Now I'm going to show you what I did. Out on my walk, I found some cute little pine cones, and all I did was spray paint them. And they're adorable just like that. They're adorable just natural too. And then I took some ribbon and I hot glued it to the top, right here. Actually, first I put the string that I used to hang it. If you can see that, I used the string. And then to cover the string, I put some ribbon. And to make that pretty bow that you see here, I did it in a couple different parts to make a perfect bow. So I made a loop, and then another loop, and then the 2 little ribbons hanging down the tail. Those were also separate. And then to cover all the overgluing of each piece to make the bow, I put that little you know, the little knot on top. And that covered all the different layers of the glue that I had to do for that. And to show you how I made the bell, I used a couple of different things. I used a little tiny paper cup, the little 3-ounce kind that you would find in someone's bathroom perhaps, and egg carton. I use this stuff a lot for crafts. What you do is you cut out one of the portions, and I already did that just to show you what I did. Cut out one of the portions, and that helps create the dome of the bell. Can you see that? So, there you go, like that. And what you need to do is you have to trim down all this stuff. So you just kind of snip this down. Whoops, where'd it go? Okay, you snip it down, and then you take painter's tape. I like the painter's tape because it's very forgiving. It's not permanent. You can move it around a little bit. So all you're trying to do is just trim off all the excess, egg carton that you really don't need. And that's what you would do next. And then you would just tape it down. It looks really, really rough, but it doesn't matter because this is all going to be hidden. Now, I'm going to snip this just to show you. Don't worry, I've got an extra one. See, and that's the bell. You can't see the egg carton, and you can't see the bathroom cup anymore because you wrapped it in tin foil. And this is how I did that. So you take your two parts, you're going to make a little hole in the center here and a little hole in the center here. And then you're going to line it up. You're going to hold it towards a window and peek through so you can see right through the holes and make sure that the light comes through. That shows you that you lined it up well. Then you're going to, where's all my little parts? Up right in front of me. And then you're going to put your painter's tape on it. I would probably put a couple more rounds of the blue painter's tape on it just to help even out the ridges from the egg carton down to the cup. Make it a little smoother. And then you take a little piece of tin foil, you perch it on top, and you make a depression around the very top of your bell. And then, like a flower, you're just going to fold this in. You pull on it a little bit just to give it a little bit of a taut look to it, but you have to be careful because it will rip. And you just work your way around. See, it's already starting to look like a little bell. And you might find that you have a little too much of the tin foil, and that's okay. Just pull off one of these like petals. I keep calling them petals. That's what it reminded me. And then you can fold them a little bit. Tin foil is so much fun to work with on any of your crafts because it's so forgiving. And before you know it, you're around. See, look how fast that went. And then your last piece. Then you press it down real nice, and you accentuate the rim of the bathroom cup by pressing on it. And then what you do is you're going to take a little bit of that pretty ribbon and you can put it on the bottom to help make it look finished. And then you take a ribbon and you weave it through the two little holes. You know, you probably do that before you do this part. So you put that through, you make a knot on the top and the bottom so you don't lose what you need to make the bell. And then I used cute little ornaments, again from those mini trees, and just hot glued that onto the bottom there. These were all the fun little things that I had that gave me this idea. I had all these cute little gift boxes, little tiny gift boxes, and I put those behind some of my little bottle countdowns. And then here's all the little tiny ornaments that you use to help make your bell look more authentic. Almost sounds like it's going to make a sound. And then these candy canes, I just love those. Those are going to go behind some of my bigger jars, lids. Like this would fit perfectly right inside there. And that is my third craft for this month. So thank you so much for joining me for another StART program. I hope you have a wonderful afternoon and grab some of these books, enjoy reading them, and have a really special Thanksgiving. Bye-bye now. Happy crafting.